that sound effect.
Talking, we were chatting shit, and we missed the start of it. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Sorry we weren't here last week. If anyone was here on Monday last week, we did do a wee fundraiser for cat and stuff, so that raised a few pound. That was good. But I was just too tired on Friday after doing 12 hours on Monday. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming back. We've got Dave and me and Richard watching. Yay! Well, for all the viewers in the future, whenever you come back and all the rest of it, thank you all. So, yeah, we had a look back. We are on chapter 7, verse 4, according to Richard. So he read.
I think so.
Checked. So we're holding Richard. And Richard should be able to see screen now, if I had done that right. Yes.
It's changing. There it is.
There we go. There we go. And Dave's going to bed. So nobody's watching now anyway. But yeah, no, thanks everybody for coming. As I say, it was off last week. I need to get better at scheduling these. We always do the same time, but it is getting the alert out there for people to remember. But thanks everybody for that is watching and that will. Richard, you had a break. You had a break last week, or 2 weeks ago, without your talking, because you'd no glasses, I do believe. So I think it's your turn.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well then I will hand over to you, Richard, and your beautiful voice with your wonderful fuzzy green screen.
Yeah. I really need to get that light fixed. Okay. Revelation, chapter 7, verse 4.
I'm gonna move it up.
And Oh, okay. Thanks for the warning.
Yeah, because I know you hate that.
Yeah, and I heard, which means more than heard. It means also to understand in a deep way. The number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
Is that number relative, or is that one of them? It's
It
just
is.
It is
It
relative.
does matter. It does matter. It has to be divisible by 12 for very good reasons. Can you guess the reason why it has to be divisible by 12?
Because they all descended from the 12 tribes of Israel.
Nope.
Enlighten me, Richard.
It's because they follow the Lamb wherever he should go, him and the teachers. That is the apostles.
Are the 12 apostles not 12? Will the 12 tribes of Israel not come before the 12 apostles?
Historically, yeah.
And would the 12 disciples not the numeracy of it be based on the 12 the 12
English thing, yeah.
tribes of Israel?
No.
There just happen to be 12.
Well, choosing 12 as apostles is based on the number of tribes, which is based on the number of zodiac signs.
Right. So if I say that it's based on the tribes, and then you say it's based on the apostles, if the apostles are based on the tribes, we're both right.
Sure. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's but the reason that they follow the Lamb and they total 144,000 is so each one of them, if they like go in different directions, have a good sized army with them. 12,000 is not a bad sized army against disorganized people who, and those disorganized people might have like machine guns or whatever like that. But they're not going to be like an organized army.
We're falling back into the whole, whenever you make an army and you invade somewhere to go and get something, this is a bad thing. I keep flashing on the bad thing. Why does God need an army?
Well, actually, this is the second half of end times. Most people will have ascended. Only like traditional religious people and extreme skeptics who don't catch on to what's going on will be there at that time. So
this will be.
That's why
I think we did discuss this last time, that it will be, if most of the people are Christian or Muslim, they're not going to believe it. And then you've got skeptics who are going to accept that it's an alien invasion
easily.
But they're not going to accept this person as God or Jesus. So most people are still going to be on the earth.
I don't know. It depends on your definition of God. I think what the angels are going to say God is not the same thing that Christians say God is.
Oh, well, obviously not.
It's not exactly the same topic.
Yes, but if a man, it's going to be very difficult for him to use that word and not have that connotation. Why would he come down and proclaim himself in this way? As we discussed before with the different routes and the different available possibilities of getting the best outcome for everybody, coming in and portraying yourself as some sort of superior being rather than using the word God is still going to come across as an alien invasion.
Yeah, it's still gonna. Well, it is an alien invasion technically, because they don't live here. So that absolutely is an alien invasion by definition, I think.
I'm waiting for someone.
Especially when you talk about this kind of scale that's being described.
I would say I'm waiting for someone to shout alien overlords in the chat.
You're gonna be waiting because there's nobody watching, is there?
Oh no, we've got Mr. Willis has turned up and John Hudson is here. So hi, thank you for coming.
Respect you both.
Yeah, I just don't see 12,000 people is a big army. It's the fact that you have to set up an army, the fact that you want an army, but that we're going to end up repeating ourselves again. I just can't get past it. It's hard for me to get past.
Well, if you wonder about like the motivation and mission of the army, just read anything about. Hold on, stuck on a word. Had it a second ago. Disciples. Just read anything about the disciples. They are the army. And they're mostly quiet, and they mostly walk around following. There's only very few stories about any kind of actual interface, like combat. There's only a handful of those stories.
12,000, or even to the point of it, 144,000 people regardless of them being in that army, are still scummy people because they're in an army. They're still volunteering to go sort of do that. So they have that, you know, I want to go and destroy. But like at the end of the day, because you've got God here that doesn't need this army. He's got all this technology, you know.
Sure.
He can just fix it or leave these people, as he has said, if you choose not to, we'll just leave you here. It's your choice. But we're still sending an army in to remove most of you. You know,
I think it helps for several reasons, actually. For one thing, you don't have to worry about someone else attacking you. If you were just like 12 folks walking around, you're pretty likely to get killed.
Oh, please don't go down that route though of the, you know, it's
What?
the bigger, I know you're not meaning to, but whenever someone goes down that route, it's like the size matters, you know, the biggest survives. My army's bigger than your army.
Well, if it's stray bullets flying around, the more young men who aren't teachers who happen to be standing in the way, the less likely a teacher will get hit.
Doesn't need to be any.
What do you mean it doesn't need to?
You don't need to be 144,000 people coming down. You know, we have the choice to stay. This is after the end times. The people who have accepted it have now float up. But you're not living by the standard of leaving us alone and letting us stay here. You're now sending 144,000 people to come and remove us.
Well, there are people from amongst us in the first place.
Yes,
I
but
want to be clear
still.
about that.
Oh, yes, I understand. Yeah. But if you've ever seen what happens in an occupation where them people that are being occupied, some of them then turn to help the occupiers, that usually doesn't work out very well.
Let us not forget, hurt not the oil nor the wine.
I don't know what that means. I've never heard it. Maybe my beard's not long enough.
We just went over it a few sessions ago. It was in the text. Hurt not the oil nor the wine is a general attitude.
Oh, yes, I
general
understand.
Guidance,
Yes.
saying both are valuable and they're to be treated with respect and calmness and kindness, and they're not to be hurt.
These are
Even those who stay behind, who aren't the wine, the quote unquote oil.
I could tell everybody to behave themselves, tell everybody to be nice, and this is, as I say, a problem that I have with a lot of shit at the minute, is people say a lot of things and then what actually happens. You know, you saying that you want to be nice and then sending in 144,000 people goes against what I see as a nice act. Even though you're coming in with big flags that have the message of God on them and screaming you're doing this for the benefit of everyone around,
Sure.
it still comes across, you know, look at it from the other side of you. Have you ever seen someone invading someone going, we're better, we're brilliant? You know, it's
Russia right now.
It's not good. It's not good. Yeah.
No, it's not good. But in that case, you're talking about politics and you're talking about people.
I'm talking about the people, the person, the entity, the whatever.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Has more and the ability to do this better and chooses to do it in a violent way. Even though they're coming across with, I'm doing this for the benefit of you. I don't give a fuck. You can't say that and then just force your opinion upon me or force what you're doing upon me.
Right. But, and again, the army is not teachers.
No.
They don't ever teach.
No, they're just an army, which is the saying. It's fucking worse then. They're not even got a nice smart general at the front that says, listen to me.
Wait, who is the general?
No, but this is what I'm asking. A general is somebody in the army. I'm just using an analogy. You know, you don't have, you saying it's just an army and it doesn't have any teachers. Well, even in that incidence, when I was sending out with an army of 12,000 people, I would send teachers because I would be like, give them a chance. This is that. But just sending an army in rather than a teacher to try and help them, you are just forcibly removing them. You're not giving them the opportunity to change their opinion. It's just all force.
I understand your point and I respect your point.
I know.
Okay? I don't think that's going to be the case, however, because that would be strictly against everything they were just taught for 5 months.
Right, humans are fucked up. 5 months ain't nothing in your life, and at the end of the day, you said bullets are going to be flying. Bullets are going to be
Just a
flying.
contrarian today.
Oh,
Bullets flying not from the army of 144,000. They won't even have like traditional weapons.
we're going round in circles. It's just something hard for me to get past.
No,
So,
I'm talking about anarchists when government fall who have
hmm,
hoarded bullets and machine guns because people do stuff like that. And they'll be generally in charge in the loose population, the
yeah,
unorganized population, and they'll be vying for becoming more in charge
and I
under the beast.
And I'm not going to make a broad statement, then followed up straight away by a broad statement. But most of the people that I would find that would align themselves with what is referred to as religion over here, Christianity over here, I'm
Yeah.
not going to say that they have the most skeptical, logical, fucking self-thinking on their own sort of minds.
No, they
So if
don't.
you've got a giant group of people who have now got to the point where they are volunteering to the aliens to join their army, these people, I would use the word devout. You get what I
Oh
mean? It's
yeah.
maybe they're not the right word, but these people are devout. They have no real thinking. They're just going in, and people are bad in wars. Okay, they're not
Sure,
nice.
people right now without heaven above telling people what is the actual moral thing to do very immoral things to each other.
Right. So
Absolutely.
unless I allow, you see, this is where we're just going to go round this argument over again, and it's best maybe I don't. But you're telling me that this fucking guy's making the decision about what is moral. So I now have to listen to what this man says is moral. And if this is where morality comes from, and this man says it's
It's
okay to go out and rape the people in the other side of the
whoa,
army,
whoa, why would Jesus say that?
people are awful. People do awful
Yeah,
things in war.
I
I'm
think
using
Jesus
that as
isn't
an
going
no.
to
I'm
say
using
something
that
like
as an
that.
extreme because it's proving a point that you made a statement that the morality of what is happening comes from this guy, and if this guy makes
Mhm.
that moral, then that's where morality comes from. It comes from
Sure,
this guy, right? So I'm using
sure.
a really bad thing as an example, right? If
Look,
he
I'm
says
not
it's
saying
okay,
none of them will ever make a mistake, and I'm sure people will like lose their tempers. I mean, there's stories in the laws for the 144,000 where they get punished for being stupid.
I'm just trying
So
to find the chat and say hello. Did God show up for this stream? I don't know, Richard. Is God here for the stream?
I'm looking down. We have John Rapp, Clout, Mr. Willis, John Hudson, and those are all the names
Yep.
aside from Dave, who was here and had to go.
Yeah. uh, yeah. I don't know. I just think sending an army in without any teachers, okay, that means to me that the people
Wait,
in,
wait, wait, wait. I don't. You've said that twice,
you reinforced it.
and I said the army aren't teachers.
No,
I didn't say the armies have no teachers.
no, being sent into these areas without a teacher. I then made a
Oh no,
reference of using the word general, and you corrected me
they
on that.
each follow a teacher, and they
So,
follow the lamb wherever he should go, who is the general.
so there is a teacher that goes with the
Sure,
army.
they have teachers. They're just not teachers when they're the army itself are not teachers.
I said this like
They're
maybe there was a
they're followers.
miscommunication earlier because I asked this and I misunderstood you. Then I was under the belief that this was only an army with no teachers giving them an opportunity to
No,
change
no,
their
no.
mind.
They have a whole chain of command. They have someone over 50, someone over 1,000, someone over 14, or I'm sorry, 12,000, and then each one over 12,000 is quote unquote an apostle, and then the general of the entire army is Jesus himself. That's the structure of it.
Right. Okay.
So I think they're going to be more than extremely patient with people, like patient in a way that people don't get to see.
It's just the faith that you're putting in the people who are doing this, okay? And the
Yeah.
reasoning that they won't be what everybody else in war is like is because this guy told them not to be.
After an alien invasion, no one's going to be the same.
Yeah, they're going to be worse probably.
Why?
Well, these people are devout, as we have discussed. They are under the belief that they are doing the right thing. Because
They will be doing what I think is the right thing, but I have to question your meaning when you say devout. Devout in the sense of Christianity right now, which will drastically change with heaven showing up.
No,
and those that call themselves devout
when you look, say for talk's sake, and we'll use America as an example, when you look at what is now referred to as Christianity and you get devout Christians, they're usually, if I can be objective, one of the worst people out there.
I've met some.
Because they are under the belief that what they believe in is the correct thing, and they will push it as far as they can, and they will reinforce it, and they are devout. So these people who have went to the stage of not only walking out on the street with a pamphlet or standing in a fucking trolley in Walmart and screaming.
Seen worse.
Right? Yeah, or seen worse. They're now, I wouldn't say taking weapons, because according to you, they're not going to have weapons, but they are, in a metaphorical sense, taking up arms against their own fellow humans.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
Yes. So this is what I'm saying. These people... whenever you get to that stage of fundamentalist and devout and under the belief that you are 100% correct, the human race is not nice.
I think you're not taking two necessary parts and putting them together. And what I mean by that is, I've had people tell me, "Oh, I'm part of the army of God. I'm Christian all the way," and blah blah blah. And I put on the armor of God every day, and they go on and on and on about it. And then they get offended when I ask if they're a virgin. And the guy was like, in one particular case, the guy was like, "Well, I don't think that's any of your business." I'm like, it's part of the description of the army. So if you're not a virgin, you've disqualified yourself. And you're way too excited about the idea of going to war. I don't think Jesus would have you.
But this is the point I'm making. You don't think that Jesus would have him. Yeah. But Jesus probably, we don't know whether he would or he wouldn't. But what I'm saying is, that's the sort of person that's going to sign up for this army.
That's the kind of person who would volunteer.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they get to.
Hold on. So there is no volunteer. God's just going to choose us and make us choose. We don't even get to volunteer. We don't even get to volunteer for the army. We're literally drafted.
They volunteer, but then Jesus selects who becomes part of the army and who doesn't.
Right. But this is what I'm saying. The amount of people that's going to... I'm seeing a high proportion of people like that volunteering. And that's...
Sure, they'll volunteer. That's if they can accept that heaven's a real thing.
Right.
I'm not sure they
can.
And
then I'm going to be one of those fucking little bit of an asshole phrases, and I'm going to say to you, so you actually know the mind of God?
I think the intent is clear in the text, yes.
I don't like saying that it's clear in the text. It's clear in the text to you, and I understand where you're coming from, but other people read it differently, so it's clear to other people in different ways. So it's not technically clear in the text.
I always find their view inconsistent.
As you would. And I guarantee you Christians find you inconsistent, although we will disagree with them.
No, they don't. They don't find me inconsistent.
They have problems with you.
They might find me objectionable.
Inconsistent is no. Inconsistent is a bad. Yeah.
That I was inconsistent.
Inconsistent is a bad word with you, but I'm talking about they will have issues. You can look at the fact that there's 30,000 possibly different denominations of Christianity out there at the minute. Every one of them.
They can sit their ass under the throne of heaven and watch the earth burn up.
No, the point is they're telling me their beliefs is clear in the text. Well, that's what I'm just having a problem with the free. You can't say to me that it's clear in the text.
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from.
And you can't say anything's clear ever.
No, that's not true. And you
saying it's true. It's absolutely true.
Saying the phrase "it's clear in the text," how can you not see it? It's clear in the text. It's obvious. It's clear in the text. But I could talk to someone else and get them to read the exact same phrase and take it a different way, and they would say the same thing.
Yeah, except they're going to find parts that disagree with their view of that one part.
You feel like I'm attacking you. I'm not.
No. I don't understand the argument.
The argument is using "it's clear in the text" as justification for it being correct. I don't see that as justification for it being correct.
If you're saying that human beings are biased, I'm aware. I'm a human being who is biased. Okay. But how we should, I think, how it's normally done when we look at the possibility of truth value, the veracity of any given claim, is we use certain standards, and I see Christians not using those standards that we normally use for everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean by they're inconsistent in the text. That's why you have so many different denominations. You don't have them. That's why there are so many different denominations. Is because they'll read this one part, and then there's this other part that argues with that view, and they just don't look at that part.
I give you that. So that's a problem that we would have with Christianity.
So as soon as anyone wants to point out to me some part of the text I'm ignoring, I'll hear that. But until then I think I'm consistent.
Right. You are consistent, 100%. And because you are consistent, you can use your story, your belief, whatever your thing, to justify everything in it. And it makes it obvious to you under your consistent belief about a book.
Sure.
Right. That's fine. And I can't take apart your belief system in 1 wee 2 minutes with a contradiction, which is why we do this show. But I still have a problem with saying it's clearly written in the text, so it's obvious. You just have a better, yours is more consistent. Granted, yes. But because you're more consistent doesn't mean that it's obvious to everyone and it's clearly written in the text.
That Jesus is a nice guy? I think Jesus is a nice guy is pretty evident to even people who don't think the Bible is real.
Ah, well, I wouldn't disagree with you. Some people could say a lot of bad things about Jesus. And, the idea that's grown up around him is he is a wonderful guy. But at the end of the day, being historical and this, that, and the other, if we're looking at that route and the skeptical scholar route, he's a person who tried to start an army to fight back against the Romans and he was shut down. So ask a descendant of a Roman if he was great. They may not. It's a point of view and what's built up over time. All I'm saying is, for me, when you say it's clearly obvious in the text, the fact that you are consistent doesn't give it any more weight. It's your view.
Well, if I were inconsistent, would it have less weight?
No, I'm not saying that. That's a no. If you were
if someone's inconsistent, whatever they say about that topic carries less weight.
Right. But that's not, yes, but you're going down a route of me what this person is. I'm talking about when you say to me that the Bible is clearly obvious under my interpretation, it is clearly written there, and that's the way I understand it because it is clearly obvious to me. That's fine, but that's just you. And I understand
that the assertion was that the army will be a bunch of bullies.
No, the assertion was that human beings are scum and that the people who will sign up for this are generally devout. And they will people under the belief that they are correct and people under the belief that they have now been reinforced by the person in charge that they are correct generally turn out to be assholes. Look what happened when Trump was in charge. And I'm not making a reference of Trump and God, but I'm just making a reference of somebody in charge who reinforces your beliefs. You feel emboldened to then go further with them.
I've heard it's gotten bad because of some of the things that Trump said, yes. For certain minority groups.
Right.
I've heard that.
And I just don't feel that if you spent 5 months talking to an alien, that your morality in the actual heart of who you are would, because he said a few things, would change. And most of the people who will sign up for this are devout. They are going to be in that mindset before they go in, so they will just follow through with that. And not that they're all bullies, not that they're this, that, and the other, just that they have now been empowered to the point where this person can blow up the planet, so they are consistent and know that they're right, and people will do awful things.
Oh my gosh, I just don't think Jesus is that freaking stupid.
So I
think as a commander, you'd have to, as a general of an army, you'd have to be an idiot to accept someone like that. Okay, would the American military accept someone like that? Marines do every day. Okay. would the IRA or whatever opposing forces, would they accept someone like that? They want them to go out and plant bombs and kill people and cause terrorism. Yes, they look for folks like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the same scenario.
So then I go back to the joke at the very start before we got all serious, and I'm going to say, you know the mind of God. And you said it's pretty clear in the text.
Well, what I mean by clear in the text is I only know of one consistent reading frame. That consistent reading frame, ignoring no parts of the text, reveals a general overall mind of God, you could say it that way, and an idea set. And none of it has to do with being shallow or prejudice or hateful or anything like that.
And I'm going to then shout out to the people in the audience that's watching and ask them, can they give me any quotes from the Bible where God or Jesus shows himself to be aggressive or bad or forceful?
I can do that for you. We don't even
exactly.
Need the
so that's the point. That's
point. That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit.
In what way?
That's in a Christian reading frame every day of the week. I can do that.
Right. So, but whenever these bad things happen, I'm not saying that they're right or you're right. I'm saying that using the phrase, that the consistency that you have. I'm not saying
I have to be right. I'm saying I'm a lot more likely to be right because at least it's coherent.
Oh, I understand that. And you are consistent. But for me, saying that the Bible makes it obvious under your interpretation, for me, is not justification. And I could look at the Bible and I could pull out things that were done by Jesus and this, or not maybe necessarily.
You'll have to misread it to do that. You'll have to adopt a normal Christian reading frame to
I'd have to disagree with you. That's the point. That's what I'm saying, man. So many people.
That's easy to do.
But so many people disagree. We don't know what is right. So then I ask the question again: do you know the mind of God?
I don't know how something that's consistent, something that comports to reality, something that's repeatable and falsifiable, something that meets every standard of what we call truth, is likely to be wrong. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know how the Bible.
If that's the case, I don't know why you believe in maths. I don't know why you.
You're making false dichotomies now.
It's exactly the same thing. It's how you know something is or is not true.
I'm throwing out the Bible. I say that the Bible isn't justification, and I agree that you're consistent, and I agree that you are the most consistent Christian that I know. And if any of the Christian faiths is going to come out to be true, it's going to be yours because there's more likely of it.
At least it's not insane.
I can say that, and I can still say that listening to you say the phrase, the Bible, the Scripture clearly states something is not justification. In your opinion. That's the point.
Well, what else am I going to say besides something that's my opinion? I'm going to say someone else's
Which
opinion.
is why I asked you, do you know the mind of God? And you went straight back to using the Bible as justification.
Well, that's the God we're talking about, yeah.
That's your God we're talking about. We're not talking about the mainstream God. We're talking about your God.
Which is a set of ideals. Which do not change over time.
I don't give a fuck.
I think they're good ideas.
I don't care what Christian you are. Saying to me, whether you're consistent or not, saying to me that it's obvious because it's written in the text, it's not obvious. It's obvious to that person because of their belief system, and that is not justification for anyone else.
I understand. I have this argument with Christians all the time.
This is maybe why you're getting a little wound up about it.
When they say their reading frame is objective and I object.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying my reading frame is objective. I'm saying my reading frame seems consistent, coherent within itself, and ignores no parts of the text and makes sense in a plausible reality.
Agree with you 100%.
Well, that's the best any of us can do on anything.
Right, and I would ask you to understand where I'm coming from and saying that using the Bible for justification, whether your belief system is consistent or not, is no good.
I don't understand. Why is it not if we're doing an internal?
Well, I said that and you're throwing out math. You know, it's like I'm saying the Bible can't be used as justification and you're saying we can't believe math. You know, it's not the same.
How we know something is true, we use this for the same for everything.
Right. Would you show me where the other data set of the other 20 exact same Christian religions that have appeared over time that we've repeated and done this and all the rest of it? We haven't. God, under your belief system, has on these other planets, so he knows. But we don't. Again,
Right.
you're inferring what God thinks from the text.
Sure.
Yes, that's not justification. Whether you're consistent or not, whether your chances of yours being more true than anyone else's, saying that the Bible says it, so that's my justification, is no good.
Well, we are talking about the Bible and a story in the Bible. So if I'm going to justify what I think about the story, I'm going to justify it from the Bible.
Right, but you're making an inference on how he picks his army because according to you, Jesus isn't that stupid. And you're inferring that from justification of the Bible. So I ask again, do you know the mind of God? You don't. You read it from the Bible. The Bible says it. Now we're in a circle. And
No, I don't think it's a circle. I think it's a logical flaw in the first place. It's not circular reasoning to talk
We
about
are
the
going
Bible,
round.
justify the Bible, using the Bible, talking about it.
And we've done this for 3 years about the stories, and I have said I can see where you see that in the text, and I can see where you see that in the text, but nowhere in what we are reading does it lay out what you need to be to get into Jesus's army in the exact stature in this list.
Oh yeah, well, it's a very, very short list.
Right? And you're inferring the mind of Jesus and how he's going to pick his army. You can't read someone
Have you
else's
read the
mind.
Sermon on the Mount?
Maybe years and years and years and years and years ago, man. But we're not talking about that now.
Or Ecclesiasticus?
Is your goal of all of this to convince people that you're true and help
What?
your goal of this show, your goal of what you spend your life doing every single day is to convince people, or at least convince was a bad word. Convince is a bad word. You want this information out there so when this happens, that people will believe it.
Well, that people will be okay when it happens.
That will be okay when it
people
happens.
People believe whatever is real in the moment.
Will you understand that in the greater world, your belief that you would like everyone to be aware of is a minority?
Oh, extreme.
Would you also agree that Christianity is a majority? In the religious terms and how we talk and who we talk to. Christianity and who the people we talk to, it's the Christian belief that most atheists and skeptics and all the rest of it interact with.
Are talking about,
is Christianity. And these are the people that you want to believe when it happens. And I'm trying to help you, and I'm telling you that if you go out and talk to the people in this community and use the Bible as justification, 90% of them, 6 out of 10, are going to just walk away.
Well, then they're idiots.
I know. I'm just saying, man, if you use, it's clear.
Well, I don't want to talk to an idiot. I'm sorry. It serves no purpose to speak to someone who can't think.
It's down to the education system in the world, and you shouldn't hold it against them because they're not educated.
Personally, but I'm just saying it's a waste of a person's time. I'm not saying I hate them because they can't think. I'm saying it's a waste of your time to talk to somebody who can't think.
I'm just saying that if you're talking to an atheist or a skeptic or someone who has left religion and you use the Bible as justification,
for what?
For understanding and knowing the mind of God. This is what I'm asking.
What else would you use?
You can't.
Aside from a religious text.
Nobody.
What you're saying makes no sense. No sense at all.
I'm saying that people can't. Nobody would know this. This is what I'm saying. You can't know the mind of God.
You can take a view, and if that view points toward its being accurate, and say, I'm personally persuaded that this view is correct, and then based in that view, make assertions about what the text is trying to say.
Right.
When you're talking about the text, not trying to justify something outside of the text, but only talking about the text itself, there's no logical flaw in that.
You've agreed it's your opinion.
Right.
Right.
What's logically flawed about having an opinion?
There's nothing logically flawed about having an opinion but an opinion.
Okay. Oh, when did I say I know?
I've asked you the question, do you know the mind of God? I don't know. Audience, You know, and you
Well,
said,
what
how
do you
else
mean
would
by
you?
no? Now you were using that colloquially.
I'm using it in a conversation where I'm talking to you.
Yeah, but what do you mean by no? When I say I know something, it means it can't possibly be
How do I?
wrong.
How do
It's
I?
not an opinion.
How, right, you know me. Do you know me?
No, I'm familiar with you generally.
Do you know my approach to how? Do you know my general approach to being other people around me and how? Would you consider me a nice person? Would you consider me this? You have a general idea of who I
I'm
am.
persuaded you're a decent man.
Right. How do I clean the house down the stairs? Do I start in the kitchen or do I start in the living room?
No idea.
No idea. So you have no idea how he's going to pick his
Topic.
army. That's no, it's not. This is what I'm saying. You can't know my approach and my mind. You can infer things and that's your opinion. But for you to know on something, you must be able to either read my mind or I've came and I've told you. You haven't spoken to Jesus, and if you're
Right.
using the Bible as a justification, then that's an inference on your
I
opinion.
have spoken to Jesus a lot.
Okay, now we're back to being crazy.
No, I have spoken to the last Jesus quite a bit. Not the Jesus for this earth, but the last one. He calls himself the Father now because that's his job.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
And you've had a conversation on how he picked his army.
No, not a conversation on that.
Right. So you're inferring from the general, and even if
From
I
other-
take, even if I take into consideration the fact that you have been talking to an alien on a regular basis, you have not spoke to this alien about how he picked his last army. So you have only the Bible to go from, and that is
Sure.
my problem. It's an opinion, and telling me that it's clear and obvious is only going to land on your opinion and not fact.
Yeah, no, it ultimately does. There's no problem with that.
Thank you.
But when did I say my opinion is a truth?
Whenever I asked you about a ton of things, I never said that.
You said no. You said, do you
Richard,
know the mind of God? That means you meant it like familiar with.
No, I mean no, as in you know exactly what he will do all the time with certain
Well, come
circumstances.
on, let's be reasonable here.
You can't know that about anyone. That's the point.
You can't know that about yourself because you have a subconscious mind.
I don't think we're going to achieve anything here.
See, the difference is I'm using no as in like a technical sense, and you're using no in like a colloquial sense.
I'm saying you don't know how
and that's
I clean.
the only impasse here.
Yeah, you don't know how I clean the living room because I haven't told you. You don't know how Jesus is going to pick his army because he hasn't told
I
you.
could take a shot at it.
You can take a shot at it. That's again. We're just going to.
Like you're a machinist. You're a fan of maths. You're a multitasker. You probably have spent quite a bit of time thinking about what order you should do certain cleaning tasks in to be most efficient. Because that's the kind of guy you are.
Right, but you haven't.
So I can make a general statement like you've spent time thinking about cleaning.
Yeah, but you can't know.
It's not really guessing.
Yes, but you can't know for sure. It's not a guess. It's an inference and it's an opinion, and you're getting it from the text. I'm just saying. I'm just going to, if I said it again, it would just go around when we're going to have it again. So I don't think we're going to achieve anything here. I'm just saying you don't know how Jesus is going to pick his army. You've only got an inference of that from the text. And you can say that the text is obvious, but it's obvious to you because it's your belief system. Obvious to someone else and all the rest of it. So saying it's obvious in the text and then getting annoyed because you're consistent and it must be because this is logical and all the rest of it and all these other Christians contradict
I'm just saying
themselves.
it's better than everything I've heard.
And I agree with you. But you can't say. If you came to me right now with a fucking piece of alien technology that this past Jesus had give you, I would believe you and we wouldn't be having this argument because you'd have a physical piece of something that we can go and test.
You're going to have to wait for end times for that. Sorry.
Right. But saying it's obvious in the book that's ancient, and according to you, your story goes back even further, so we could read something that's even older than the Bible, and saying it's obvious in it. But it's not obvious, it's obvious to you.
Just like when we did Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh was so refined that he considered the hero of the story, which is essentially Jesus, to be a wild man, a crazy person, acting on instinct alone. Well, and I can point out things like that from the Christian text, from the Jewish text, where the father is saying, "You're a heathen, you intended reader. You've been chasing whores, you intended reader. You've been a horrible person. Uh, you've done terrible things that I don't agree with, and you should correct yourself." And with those kinds of standards of morality, where Jesus was just a normal dude before he wakes up, before the sleeper awakens, he's just a normal dude. He's not doing horrible. He's not in jail. He's not imprisoned for life. He's not doing horrible stuff. He's just doing normal stuff. and that is so far below standard. It's completely unacceptable. So he's got to fix that.
I understand you're passionate. I understand where it's coming from. And as I said, out of all the people in the community, I would gladly put my hand up there with Mac and all these other people that do the shows with you and say, probably got the best understanding on other people out there. So I do get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Just for me,
you think I'm assuming too much when I say I'm convinced of something?
No, I don't think you're assuming.
But that's all I said.
No, I don't think that. I would safely say, I would very rarely say that you are assuming anything, because you, like me, thinking about cleaning, think of nothing else but this.
Yeah,
right?
This is my life.
Right? But with that also comes the opposite problem. Because you spend 23.5 hours a day thinking about this for the half hour you're not sleeping, you are so sure of it, because you're like, right, I've come at it from 50 different million points, and every single one of them is logically come down to this has to be it. And you've taken another point and you're like, fuck, that has to be it, and it agrees with this, and you spend all these hours a day thinking about it. So you are like, fuck me, how can people not see this?
That's the way I feel about it. And at first I thought preachers were lying and they knew the truth and wouldn't share it.
Yes, but if you want...
That's how obvious it looks to me. I thought they must be lying.
Exactly, man. This is where I'm trying to see that you're coming from. Saying it's just other people in the Christian belief, even though they are non-consistent, they do that, whatever the fuck it is, logical fucking compartmentalization. Where they do that, they are still convinced of it. I'm not saying that you do that. You convince yourself you are sure of it on a different way, which is a better way. But these people still have this, they are right.
Sure, they're very persuaded.
They are convinced.
That's what makes them zealots. That's what makes them get on YouTube and say crazy things and argue forever about the same crazy things.
Or can I take the snippet from 5 minutes ago where you talked about speaking to an alien, and then the snippet where you go, that's when they go onto the internet and say crazy things. Can I put them two together?
I don't know that that's crazy.
I know, but it would be a good trailer.
I said that and I meant it, and I'll stand behind that 100%.
I was just going to use it as a trailer for the show. It's funny, you know. I was making a joke. I'm trying to lighten the mood. We've been getting very heated. I'm trying to keep it.
It's okay. You know, if something is important, it's worth saying well. That's a quote from Lord of the Rings. If something's worth saying, it's worth saying well.
Yes.
And I think these discussions matter.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I think you do a great job of representing your background experience and what you've seen in your life in inconsistency in zealots for deism. And I am a zealot, and I know that. I wouldn't have it any other way. I couldn't be something else now. There's no way.
And I'm just yeah. Go ahead.
Did I ever tell you I spent an entire year outdoors?
We've talked.
I was outdoors 100% of the time.
Yeah, I think there was only
And
2 days
I
of the 2 days of the whole
from-
year that you didn't go out because of really bad weather or something. I think it was, but you were out every single day of the year. No. I believe that, and that's the. But I'm just saying, when you take your personality and how strong of a belief that you have in this,
sure,
and you look at what mainstream Christianity is, and you want these people to flip, so to speak. Whenever the aliens come down, you don't want them to believe in Christianity anymore. You want them. Aliens are here, and this is God. So they will change where they devote their zealotness to, and they'll switch it across to this. But that's still not going to take the AR-15 and their idea in their mind that they are right. What it's going to do is it's going to reinforce it, because they have literal physical proof now where they can scream at everyone, and now they're in an army. And now we're back to the start again.
No, it could. I'm not saying your point's invalid.
Yeah.
I'm saying the ones in charge of who gets to be part of the army, there's plenty of candidates, by the way. There's way more candidates than are needed. Because there's plenty of young Christian virgin males who want to be that.
Yeah.
Plenty.
And that's another thing as well, right? You said this earlier and I didn't jump on it. I didn't grab it. The fact that they must be a virgin to be in the army.
Yeah.
Right. Well, socially, in the society that we have now, right?
Yeah.
Most people lose their virginity at a younger age, except in the uneducated, more Western society, Eastern and all that sort of, underdeveloped societies. Arranged marriages and stuff like that, and they have the power to enforce religion and things like that a wee bit more. So it's,
Sure.
they can control the population a wee bit better. So generally, what you're going to get is either undereducated people coming from underdeveloped countries or really young kids from developed countries. And I know that's a broad brush.
That would be mostly true.
But that, young males and people who have been in poverty and torture, that's where you're getting your base from. Most of it.
And you hedged your statement by saying most likely, words like that, and I appreciate that, and I understand you're being careful.
I'm trying, I don't like broad statements, but broad statements and stereotypes do have a fucking need in conversation sometimes to get a point across.
Sure. Well, at the beginning of a conversation, when you're first trying to figure out the major ideas, stereotypes are really handy. One of those stereotypes, the description of the 144,000, which this is not the full description right here. Excuse me, I'm reading the rest of it. Oh, here you go.
We've literally read
there is
verse.
I should read 9. I don't need to read from this tribe from this tribe, because it's just the tribes listed in order.
And different places. Tribe of J, right. Different places, different tribes. Okay, go on ahead. Skip to 9.
And after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds, peoples and tongues, stood before the throne, before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands. That means your hands are not fists.
Yeah, I was thinking like this, but yeah.
And that's how the only way you can have palms in your hands. And cried with a loud voice, saying, "Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and the Lamb." Okay.
Right.
If you take all the descriptions of the 144,000, it's the Mormon unmarried young man's credo.
Hold on.
Now, you can say they're part of a cult. That's fine. But you can't say they're in a third world country, and you can't say they're uneducated, because those are businessmen.
Sorry, I was just
about being successful in business.
I understood the start, and then you made the point. But just as you made the point, I noticed that. So I think BrainBug butt dialed and timed out Robert X. I can't.
Nah, Robert's decent people.
Yeah. I think that was just a mistake.
Accident.
Yeah. Sometimes you do that. So I missed how you went. Could you start again, please, for me? After reading 9 and 10.
Yeah. The full description of the 144,000 is the credo of the young Mormon male. Like, that's what they live their life by, literally.
They live by number 9 and 10.
No.
Sorry.
The whole description of the 144,000.
Right. Oh, yes, that's right. They have
young,
that limited
virgin, males believing in God, physically capable. Most of them. Not all of them will qualify in that way. And no guile found in their mouth. That is to say that they never said something wrong about God. By the way, that eliminates almost everybody.
Well, we know that they're, because of the numbers and all of that's being ignored, or would discount an awful lot of people. See, there you go. He bumped it. It was a butt dial. Didn't mean it.
Yeah.
I think we've hashed that out as much as that's going to be hashed out.
Sure.
I now, after the show going for ages, will put the fucking... This is the one thing with the new setup. I moved it over here so I don't see it while we're streaming. And while we're not... Yeah, I didn't see that text is very small and the fucking... There's the Bible readings on screen now. And with that, Richard, would you like to start at 9 and reread it and then and go on through 11 and 12 and we'll maybe hash out some more? 'Cause I think hashing it out and going through the names of these fuckers.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a hyperliteral reading, the names of the tribes matter in this because the names of the tribes are kinds of people, like a zodiac thing.
There's a tribe of Nephilim.
Naphtali.
Oh, right.
That's the judge.
Right, that's
not Nephilim, those to be judged.
Yeah, that's what I was. I had to double check that.
It does look really similar, though.
I was just skimming it, and it was like, who is these tribes? Right, we've got Reuben, we've got Levi. Well, who the fuck? A tribe of Nephilim? What? Okay, right.
Yeah, Naphtali is the judge.
Yeah.
Nephilim to be judged. It doesn't mean a giant.
No, we discussed this before, but you do believe in the arms, in the arm span, and in the wingspan. You do believe that will be measured.
Yeah, that there are Nephilim alive today. Yes, I totally am convinced of that.
We had a picture of a basketball player or something at one stage.
Yao, I think. I'm probably saying his name poorly.
I think so, yes. It wasn't a standard American name. I remember that. Big, massive, tall fella.
Yeah, with parents half his size. And everybody knows that unless you have some kind of a growth hormone problem, some kind of a birth defect, you shouldn't be twice as big as your parents. Everybody knows it.
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would, in my mind, see someone who is exceptionally tall would genetically need a gene to be switched on.
It's genetic.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
So if you have it dormant in your mum and dormant in your dad, but they both got it half and half from there, when it ends up in you, they're short, you're twice as tall because it's been switched on by them both having dormant.
It tends to pop up every third or fourth generation, just like the text says.
But that's
every third or fourth generation can be cursed.
That's where I would go with it. You know, Elena's lucky enough that I have blue recessive from my mum, and her mum has blue. So Elena's got blue eyes and ginger hair. She's got both not the recessive. Yeah, both. She's got both the recessive ones.
Both are recessive, yeah.
Switched on. So, you know, that makes her slightly more original. Well, it's class. But that just, you know, that's how I look at it. That height being switched on because of a recessive gene that came from him.
Okay.
Are both
I'm not educated enough in all of the science that has been observed about those folks. There has been plenty of it.
On a real basic fucking genetic form, we both understand where we're coming from between recessive genes and having two parents with recessive genes. That's high school genetics, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's pretty easy stuff.
And a loud voice says, Richard reads verse 10. Go
Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders, and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces and worshiped God.
Right.
This is I don't know, Christians will argue with me this. I think this is the great uncountable multitude just mentioned in the verse prior, in the paragraph prior.
Oh, I say that again.
Talking about angels. The angels are that uncountable multitude.
Not the 120,000, the ones from a couple episodes
After this, I beheld, there's a topic change. You had the 144,000, and then after that.
Right. Now,
after this which I just said,
yeah,
I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man can number, of all nations, kindred, they are people.
That great multitude you're talking about, that particular phrase, great multitude, you're saying that that's a great multitude of angels.
Yeah, because it goes on to describe angels.
No, it says that angels are also there and they're standing around it. Now, it doesn't use the word also.
Well, who's the uncountable multitude?
Right, well, whenever you read verse 9 and 10, this is where my mind went, right?
Yeah.
After the great army has went down to earth, right? So I'm going to break it down in English, right? After the great armies went down to earth and they've got all the people who are deemed worthy or going to survive, dragged up, whatever means, them armies, that 144,000, plus all the people are now on the ship, right? And it's like, you've been dragged up from the earth, taken up from the earth, came up from the earth, whatever. This is where you're going, and we are going to put you in front. Like, you think about it, if you were captured and stuff, there would be a general, maybe not the leader of the army, but some big general would come and stand in front of you and all and say, this is what's happening, right? So I'm seeing the great multitude as the reclaimed humans. We'll call them the reclaimed humans, right? To try and keep it vague and all the rest of it. These people who have been brought up, plus the army. That's how I see the great multitude. So if we were reading it, which no man can number, made, and I'm sticking made up in, right? But made up of all nations and kindreds and peoples. And so it's
made up is okay. Yeah.
Right? So it's the people who've been brought up from the earth. Maybe a ship or two's worth of nice populations of people up in the barricades watching these in the front. They're the angels. But the great multitude would be these people who are being brought for them. Right? And then reading on. Now,
what does science say the present population of the earth is?
I don't know. Now, I know that it's 25% America.
Yeah.
5% population, 25% of the prison population. I think that's the statistics roughly for America. But that's
no, total population of the earth.
Oh, I think we're touching 8 billion, aren't we?
Was that a number?
8 billion. Are you asking me, is it a number?
Is that a number?
It's a rough guess at what the population of the earth is now.
Well, if you look it up, the science gets more specific about it.
What, like half a human?
No, they get pretty darn specific about what the living estimate is. But it's not a number that no man could number. We have numbered it.
Oh, well, we've already discussed that when they use phrases like a large group of people.
Well, it says no man could number. Could, as in a possibility.
I know, but we have discussed this exact thing before, that when they say uncountable or a huge number, they are just meaning it's a large group of people.
Yeah, like bigger than 8 billion, uncountable.
Not necessarily, man. Just a large number. That's it. That's the conversation that we went through before.
Last time, you're consistent.
That is what we said before, it was just a general description of a large number. But I'm just telling you, whether I'm right or you're right, this is where my mind went, right? I got yours, and you're using it as the great multitude is the angels. And I would say that there would be angels there. I would say that there's probably angels, if we're thinking Roman Stadium, the people who have been brought from the earth are on the ground, God, Jesus, and these people are in front of him, and all the audience is the angels, So that great multitude is everything. And then
we haven't gotten to the ascension yet, though. So you're assuming ascension that's not there yet. So I don't think that's a safe assumption to make in the text.
Well, this is because you've read it before. But where I'm at now, have I helped them? I know. Where I'm at
they just picked the 144,000, and that's where it's gotten. So no one's ascended yet.
So I'm skipping ahead of the story, and this is yet to come.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go on ahead then. Well, this is just, no point in cutting you off. I'm still going to tell you where I actually was. That's what I think the great multitude is. And the fact that they've been brought in and placed before the Lamb. The idea of white robes with palms in their hands. If I had just been taken over, if I had just been subjugated, or if I had just volunteered and this is my new leader, I'm sitting like this. That's how I see the open palms. That's how I'm seeing it.
Something like that, yeah.
I'm bowing my head. Didn't it say somewhere upon that something like bowing his head or something? I'm subjugating to this person because I've just been conquered. Sure. That's where my
By the way, you look like Christ crucified when you do that. Everyone would.
Screenshot.
Everyone would.
Screenshot. There you go. Although my arms are better, I've been working right.
Yeah. You starved to death for 3.5 years to see how you like it.
I'm getting there. It's a couple of months. Right. So what we're on now, we shall scroll up.
Yeah, would you please? Now's a good time while we're not directly reading.
We'll go to the end of the chapter, I do believe. Unless we get completely off on a tangent.
Did I read 11? I can't tell because 11's not there.
Yes, 11 standing around the throne, all them angels. 4 beasts and fell upon their faces. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, all fell upon their faces and worshipped God. Sure. That's how I see it.
Right on.
You know?
Right. And to me, that's saying, I owe you this. This that I have right now, I owe you this. It's yours, not mine.
No.
Why?
Why? Like you are a forceful evil person. Not talking about God, just some fucking warlord or whatever. Get on your knees and fucking bow before me. And that boy does it out of fear. Just because they're doing that.
Oh, you do it out of fear, but it still means that you're still pretending that you owe them.
Oh, so yeah, we can agree that there could be a foundation of pretend there. All right.
There could definitely be coercion.
There's coercion. That's the word.
Always a possibility.
Thank you.
Always.
That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, there's not necessarily a subjugation. It definitely could be down to coercion.
You ever draw a large amount of money out of the bank? Do they do this?
Do people have large amounts of money?
Well, anyway, like what they'll do in the United States is the person who's getting you your cash out of your account at your bank, who probably recognizes you as a person. They have to interview you if you take out over a certain amount. And they'll ask you questions like, are you under duress?
Oh,
if you were under duress, would you have said that you're not under duress? And it just goes on and on and on like that. You know, because they're trying to make sure that, well, they don't want to give you your money, first of all. But by law, they also have to make sure you're not being robbed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right.
Weird stuff. I find it annoying. It's annoying. It's my freaking money. I don't have time for this crap. I don't want to put up with your stupid freaking questions. I'm fine. Give me my money. I have better things to do.
Remind me offline to talk about money, but yeah, I have a story for you too. Okay, verse 12.
Saying, and this is what that group say.
Yeah.
And by say, I think it means say simultaneously in one accord.
I'm imagining,
because it's talking about a large group all saying this one thing.
I'm imagining thousands of people screaming this as one loud single sentence.
I can't imagine how you'd get people ascended off the earth brand new to heaven to simultaneously say the same thing, anything.
It's one sentence, and if I hand you a piece of paper when you're walking into that Coliseum, and I tell you, you have to say this or I'm going to shoot you. A lot of people. Oh my
gosh, dude.
No, I'm just saying, we're talking about coercion. There. We're talking about coercion, right? I'm just saying, you're saying you can't get people to do this. If you've just taken up 8 billion people from the earth and they all have to do this, okay, we'll say 4 because 4 have already been ascended, whatever it is. Half of them, third of them, some of them will not say this. Like whenever we were growing up and you had to say your prayers and everybody sat with their eyes closed and shit. There was us 3 that just looked at each other and went, nah, fuck that. No. But
I was one of those 3.
Most people will know, most people will remember, and most people will drown out the people who don't. One sentence.
That would be true generally.
It's one sentence.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted. Go on ahead.
And here's what they said. No, I brought it up and started picking it apart. Blessing, glory, and wisdom, thanksgiving, honor, and power, might unto God forever and ever. Amen. I really wish I could read it without the English words that are stuck in here. But and one of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are, present tense, arrayed in white robes, and whence came, past tense, they? Where'd they come from? He generally says, you know better than I do. And the angel says, yes, I do know better. These are they which came out of the great tribulation. That is, they went through end times and have washed their robes. That is to say, became purified and made them white, white meaning purity, in the blood of the Lamb, accepted Christ.
And I would say that sentence, with the exception of washed, which you'll jump on me and say it's past tense, people who have just been abducted cannot have enough time to have already guaranteed to be angels. With that exception of that one word, washed, that would still apply to what I'm saying about the multitude of.
Except tribulation already happened. Well, this
Star Trek.
Star Trek tribbles. Uh, these are they which came the midway in 14. These are they which came out of the great tribulation.
Yeah, tribulation being, as you said, they've been through the end time. So if these people who have now been
Right.
brought up onto the ship have
They
just
haven't been through all of end times. End times has not been completed.
had all of it, it doesn't. The the great tribulation, I could make an argument that the fact that we stuck great in it means that it's the hardest part. The hardest
Yeah.
part.
Oh, absolutely. You're right.
So if I made that argument, the hardest part would be before you get to the ship, physically and emotionally. You know, when you get here, everything's wonderful because you're in heaven.
It better be.
So the Great Tribulation could be a description of the hardest part of it.
Okay, so you're taking this the hardest part for the individual, but not necessarily the hardest part for the planet.
Oh no, as you've said, I'm already wrong because what I'm describing happens later in the text. But I'm just this is where my mind is,
No, it's fine.
and I'm going with it. You know.
I think it's a typical Christian assertion, actually. That this is people from off the earth because they don't want to accept that angels were people on
I don't
earth.
even think I went through Revelations when I was under. Well, again, cultural
It
influence.
doesn't matter. You hear
culture,
it
yeah,
in your
yeah.
culture. It's a cultural thing. You can't help but have ideas about it.
But as I said, the only problem with that sentence is if you remove the word washed, which I don't even think you would need to, because if you're now in heaven and you've brought there, then I would say that it's already done, and you're going to put time on it and say you need to be in heaven for a while before they're washed. But anyway, right, verse 15, go on ahead.
Therefore, in other words, for these reasons, are they before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more. It's those general promises everybody's heard of. Neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them to living fountains of waters. I almost said waters of everlasting life, and that's the wrong line. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. And this is why Christians say that you become some kind of a flesh robot in heaven. This is the part.
I have never heard a Christian say that you become a.
They wouldn't use those words. I say it as because I disagree, and it sounds disagreeable in the first place.
I would say that they become a flesh robot. You know,
That's the normal Christian description. Yeah.
Whenever I first left, and you get. I always start with the partner that's sitting beside. You're religious, he's not, he's in hell. You're happy that he's in hell? Clearly not, right? What are you going to do? You're going to be happy all the time. You're supposed to be. It's heaven. You're just a mindless zombie. So that's the atheistic sort of aggressive.
Sure, and I agree. It's a good critique of what I would consider mainstream Christianity. That they say those sorts of things because first of all they think that they're talking about them. It's talking about them, right? That's what they think because they think they are that multitude, even though they've been counted and numbered, and that even though ascension hasn't happened yet because it's still in judgment, which is evident, I think.
This is the bias, right? This is more bias. You're nodding your head as you talk, and you're like doing motions like this, which when you're having a conversation with someone is screaming, this is obvious. It's like, the sky's blue.
To me, it seems super obvious.
I'm just saying, aware of your bias. I know you are, but this is...
I'm aware I'm biased.
It just... I'm going to use the word, it oozes from you.
Oh, yeah. I feel really confident about it. I feel when I say I'm thoroughly persuaded, I mean 100% persuaded. I don't think that I should have doubts. But
your birthday or your Christmas, I am definitely getting you like a wizard outfit or more of a thing with a hood on it and like a staff so you can go proper zealot. Like get this shit old school medieval.
I made myself a staff. You want to see it?
Yeah. Well, hold on. We're nearly finished anyway. No, we'll wait to the end. We'll wait to the end anyway. Right. Unless the audience wants to see Richard's stick.
Staff. It's a staff. It's not a stick. I'm a machinist and a welder and fabricator. Trust me, it's not just a stick.
My walking stick that I made broke, and I still have half of it in the boot of the Mondeo that's in the front. Couldn't throw all of it out. I couldn't throw it all.
Wait, your car's in the shop where?
Oh,
Well, why? I mean,
an uninsured driver on Easter weekend on the way to pick up the
oh
child.
wow.
Yeah, he didn't see me coming. Old fella, 70 years of age.
Oh, I had that happen to me one time. I
Yeah,
was about your age when it happened to me. He when he looked in my direction, there was a telephone pole in the way. There was a power pole.
it's literally the timing. It is not the best. It's a
Yeah,
direct crossroads like that, and where
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
coming from, it sort of comes round the corner. But it is a long straight. It's a long level bit, but there's just
Sure.
a slight corner, and for the time it takes you to cross the road from there is the time it takes you to go. So if I'd have
Yeah.
been 5 seconds later, I'd have missed him. If it had been 5 seconds earlier, I wouldn't. Hating the rest of it is he's test driving a car, so he technically bastard. Don't even talk to me. Don't even talk to me about it. It's just the
I
shit.
just bought a
every
really
time I
good
get
condition used luxury car, and this guy in something even bigger than my car just pulled out. I hit him in the front. I hit him in the front left corner. I mean, of course, for do you guys drive on the left or the right hand side
you
of the street
drive on
where
the
you
left.
live? You drive on the left. Okay, so it'll be the same as hitting him in the right front corner.
The best of it is I drive the same type of car. Oh my god! Since maybe in basic model of car, but I've upgraded in spec. Right, so
Yeah.
I bought an old banger one, then I bought a nice one, then I bought the top of the range one, and then I had an accident about 9 months ago. As everyone, that car they wrote off because it's so old, but I kept it.
Yeah.
So that had damage on the driver's side, and then this one is 2 models below the top of the range, but it doesn't have the bumpers and stuff. And I planned, cross, and then with this
Oh,
boy,
can you?
well, oh yeah, it's just a bumper and you fucking pull seats out, man. I leather interior in the other one, 8 bolts, pulled across. Like it's easy to take seats out of a car. It's not, but anyway, point aside, I hit that one and the damage was to the driver's side, and then whenever this boy was coming out, he was going to what is his right and my left, and I tried, to get round him and get into the what do you call? So all the damage is up the left. So the parts are all sitting there, because the left hand side of the other one is fine.
Yeah.
So, to fix it's not going to cost me anything, but the insurance company looks at it and goes, that car's from 2007? Fuck that. We're not putting new parts in that shit. Scrap it.
No. Yeah, they'll total that out for sure.
Oh, yeah. So, every time I get back on my feet again, the universe.
Huh. Maybe you're not meant to succeed here. Sorry.
And on that note of how much of a failure I am, we shall end the show.
It doesn't mean you're a failure.
I'm just not meant to succeed. Right.
I'll tell you one on me to make you feel better. I have one. I prefer trucks because I'm a worker and I need to haul stuff, so I prefer trucks. But there was one car ever my whole life that I thought was a handsome car, that I thought would be a car worth having. So I saw this, and they're older cars. They quit making them. Chevy. It was a Chevy product, and I got to thinking about that and how cool that car is. And they were made around the same time I was born. So I thought I would love to have a Corvette Stingray 1968. And a friend of mine knew that I liked the car and was talking about maybe trying to find one that age so that me and the car could be the same age, because I thought that would be cool.
Yeah.
I need a lot less work than the car, but I'd be willing to put in the work,
I did the exact
So she
same
bought
thing.
me a magazine of all of the Corvette Stingrays. Guess what year isn't there because they didn't make it that year?
Earth.
There it is.
I did the exact same thing. I wanted to do up a car, and before Elena was born, I had the intention of buying it.
Yeah.
Bought the car. There was the intention to do this car up with my firstborn.
Mm-hmm.
When Elena was born, I went and did a wee bit more research into it, because this car I found in a field. All right, I knew the year was 1984. I'm born August of 83, and this car I think was February or late January 84. So
Pretty
it's
close on.
pretty close on, right? It had maybe 15 owners before it. This guy had it for the last 3 years. He was hoping to do it up. All this story. So I ended up buying it. When the child was born, it turns out it had it was registered actually just up the road from where she was born. They used to have a Ford dealership there. It's now houses and stuff. But it was actually sold like a couple of mile from where she was born, 6 months or so after I was sold.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, I sold it not too long ago because by the time that wee girl's going to be 18, everything's going to be electric, and we'll build a CR. We're going to build what I originally just found this, and it was a bar. Well, it wasn't.
What?
I want a Ford CR Cosworth 19. That's what my stepfather was driving whenever I first
Gosh,
met
I don't
him.
even know what that is. I can't even imagine what that looks like.
It is a box. It's a fucking box. All right.
Well, some boxy vehicles are really good, though.
It's fucking class looking. Not the original Cosworth. No, I want that. What I'd really like is what they did. Ford actually did is they took the two back seats out, and they dropped the boot down, and they made it into a little mini pickup truck like that wee Mexican type of thing. Yeah. And they called it a Sierra P100. And it was just right? It was just a truck, it's sort of low bed truck that these people
truck car,
right? But what a lot of people are doing now is taking the 4-wheel drive sports system out of the Cosworths because they've all been wrecked and putting them into these P100s. That's what I want. That wee low bed truck thing, but we're rambling on. Not about the show at all, but yeah, there's the tool talk and us laughing.
It's beautiful that you think about the future of your daughter. Some men don't.
Some mothers don't. Some people are assholes.
Some mothers don't. Yeah.
You've just been lucky. We got a good daughter. We have a good mix. We co-parent.
So let me wrap up 17 with the idea that I think is true.
Go for it. That Robbie isn't a failure.
Retarded right now. What's that?
No, it's better than ending on Robbie's a failure. Go.
Yeah, not a failure. You're only a failure once you're dead and still a failure because you still have opportunities while you're alive. Okay, so what I think this is saying is that we are basically retarded right now, and our mind will be so much higher.
Just to say,
I don't care.
After.
It's a medical term.
Have to say that.
Okay, we're not bright compared to what we will be, is what I think this is.
We're young.
Is talking about, and we'll look at things very, very, very differently than we do right now, and we'll appreciate our tribulation, our pain and suffering, as a learning experience, and more like a Buddhist kind of a way, or like I don't know, with a larger view.
I have mentioned this, I don't know how many times, but it's very, very difficult for people to do a stream, but I want to do a stream. One who's there.
No, it does.
It just, then you have to get people to talk about the trauma. Nobody likes doing that. So. But I agree with you, and that's, I wouldn't say that in a Christian point of view about works. I'm not going down that route. But I'm just going to say, if you're fucking brought up wrapped in bubble wrap, you're going to be a wee, you need to have
a delicate little flower.
You need a kick in the ass every now and again to make yourself stronger,
I think this earth does a pretty good job of kicking our butts on a pretty regular basis. Right.
Is that it, Richard, or did I interrupt?
So it's not about being an a living robot. It's not about being that. It's about being higher minded. And that's it. That was the last thing I wanted to say about
it. Right. Yeah. Call back next week. We'll be back again. Buddy that turned up. We ended up with 13 people watching at the end.
No kidding.
Yeah. We started a row, and then they must have texted everybody, and then the numbers jumped. I love the drama.
Started the what? Row?
And we were getting.
Oh.
Someone actually, I think it was Clout was. I think Clout was. Richard's got the fangs out tonight. The numbers went up, man, But
you want to do it again? I can do it right now.
Fuck. Thanks everybody. Yes, as I said, thanks everybody for coming. Yeah, I'm trying. I don't know. Does everybody remember worms? Does anyone remember? Thinking of
I know what worms are. That's the intestinal problems
Yep.
that occur in dogs and humans, often also pigs with
Don't
trichinosis.
eat that. You
Usually
undercooked
called
pork.
tapeworms or roundworms. Those are the most common kinds of worms.
Does anyone remember Worms Armageddon from early 2000?
I had a case of worms one time. I thought it was Armageddon. I know just what you mean.
But these things have rocket launchers. Younger generations, they know what I'm talking about, and I'm thinking of setting up like like a Worms tournament. Okay,
Oh, the way I painted the toilet, trust me, I thought I had a rocket launcher.
9-inch hole, suck 2 goats and 3 pigeons through it. Right, yeah. So if anyone is interested, I am thinking of starting to do a wee Worms tournament.
It's a video game, right?
Yeah, it's a video game. Worms, rocket launchers, guns, and stuff like that. You get to make. You can make your own maps as well. And the one that I found, if you upload an image of a certain size, a JPEG, it'll take all the detail out of it and like fill it with soil and stuff. But we could have your head as a map with your shoulders, with worms sitting here, and we can climb over and shoot. And I'm thinking of maybe doing something like that. So yeah, if anyone's interested in playing or remembers even playing worms, we're fucking. Oh, we were setting up virtual machines. Should be fun if people are interested in that. Hit me up. I've got a link for a not free version. So yeah, we'll do that. Let me know if everyone's interested in that. Yeah. Thanks again, Richard. Thanks everyone for watching.
Sounds like fun.
It should be fun, yeah. Take all your anger out and just blow people up, you know? What us humans do. We just discussed it. All back next Tuesday. More of me and Richard being nice to each other. And like worms, send me a DM. Thanks, everybody.
He's got worms.
You got worms. I got herpes.
Oh, okay. That's slightly different.
Think for yourselves, people. Bye.